Who am I kidding? I need readers. I need reading glasses to do this, my old ass. So, what's good? Let me tell you what's inspiring this this whole little rabbit hole I'm going down. So the other day I did this live stream and was talking about thumping or slapping. And I've always thought, to be honest with you, I know the old heads, the older heads, because I might be considered an old head myself at this point. The old heads, cats that came up in the Larry Graham era, the 70s, late 60s, 80s, all that, refer to the style as thumping and plucking. I get it. But then I was, when I was coming up in the 80s, we just said slapping, right? But is there a difference? So my mindset was like, it's like one man's tomato is another man's tomato. It's the same thing. But the more I thought about it, I've thought about it over the years, and particularly over the last couple of days, is that looks like we got a little bit of a lag here. I don't know. The tech has been working, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, the more I thought about it, I'm like, man, there is a difference. There is a little bit of a difference between slapping and popping and thumping and plucking. Now, I posed this question to one of the bass groups that I'm a part of, bass players. And so there were some really cool answers, responses, particularly from the homie Jackie Clark, who is always very insightful. So, these things are public. So I'm gonna share my screen, man, and I really want to look at some of these comments and just dig into it a little bit. But actually, first, there's two names I've pulled up, in a YouTube search. That'd be Milt Hinton and William Patton Black, who played with Elvis Presley. And, I don't know if this does anything, but YouTube, here it is. Fair use, man. We're talking about a topic, and we're using some doggone examples. All right? So, and the answers are still coming in on this. So, I'm curious, but let's take a look at Milt Hinton. That's a hard name to say 3 times fast. Just FYI.
When I first started listening to basses, I was listening.
Now, I'm a 7th grader, so I just want you to listen to what my man said right there, and you tell me if you heard the same thing I heard.
When I first started listening to basses, I was listening.
You know what it sounded like he said? Let's listen to it one more time. I know that's not what he said, but I'm immature.
When I first started listening to basses, I was listening to them play like this. I had to find a way to do better. And I said, if I mix that up like you're dancing, like I'm going through a little dance,
Now, I think we could legitimately say that is slapping the bass, right? Slapping the upright bass, right? Let's look at, let's see if we can find some examples here. Well, let's see what Paul McCartney. Let's see what Paul McCartney talking about.
This is the original Elvis Presley bass.
Ooh.
Exactly. Elvis will have been standing just about there somewhere. Bill Black backing him up. Well, since my baby left.
This is not slapping the bass.
Me is the album covers.
Okay, bad example. Let's get a little bit better with our search fingers here. Let's see what my man here is talking about. This looks like an interesting video.
Most people play the bass. I like to slap the bass. Now that's a single slap right there. Guys like Bill Johnson and Pops Foster use that. They do it 2-beat, and sometimes 4/4.
Now I don't know why you would call that a slap, right? I'm not an upright aficionado. Upright is not my bag. But I would call, looks like he's pulling as opposed to slapping, but we won't worry about that.
And there's guys like Marshall Lytle from Bill Haley in the Comets who would add the double to it. Just like Rock Around the Clock.
I would call that getting close to slapping, right? We can't talk. It's hard to talk about this bass thing and talk about this concept without going to the source, going back to the source. And, before Larry Graham, there were upright bass players. So take that.
And from Marshall Lytle to Marshall Grant, who played with Johnny Cash. Sometimes we like to gallop, like in White Lightning. Sometimes we like to do triplets.
Okay. Now, I would say that is slapping basses, right? Most of us know the story of how Larry Graham started slapping bass, or thumping the bass, because that is what he called it, right? He's replacing a drummer. And when I think about this, when I think about all the cats that I really came up digging, Larry, Mark Adams, Andre Simone, Brown Mark, it is very much a rhythm first approach to the instrument. It is very, very much a rhythm first approach. And so when I was coming up, man, I sure hope my tech don't start. I know there's a little bit of a lag, but so far it's not so bad. I'm thumping the bass. The rhythm is first, the notes are second. But them steady eighth notes, right? It really is about okay, I know I'm lagging a bit there, but I would say that is thumping down through the string, and really almost like when Brown Mark comes on the scene, and Brown Mark is talking about the rumble, right? You're just beating the shit out of the bass, right? And his what he coins as the rumble, you know what? Let me not even funk around here. Let me brown mark. Let's go on and do a search here. I hate that there's a lag, but we're just going to make it do what it do. We're not stopping. Brown mark rumble. Again, going to the source. Fair use. Now, there's a lot of videos of Marcus talking about the rumble, and me and him had a great chat back in 2020 when he was, kind of talking about coming down on the E and the A string and using his other fingers on his hand. Jesus. On his plucking hand, right? To get this sort of, rumbly tone. So, akin to thumping, real percussive, rhythm first, note second. Right? This is what I'm observing. I'm happy to have anybody join this discussion, right? I see Tiny's in here. Feel free to add your thoughts. I do want to say though, because my bass player homies and homettes, man, some of y'all is like real sensitive sometimes, and real like, I don't know, just like be respectful, and if you come with the comments, that's all I'm saying. So far I'm saying thumping and plucking is more of a rhythm first, percussion first approach. If we fast forward a little bit, let's look at Stanley Clarke. Right? Now Stanley Clarke has got he's also coming from the upright world, but Stanley Clarke has got this more trebly tone, more mid-range. It's cutting through the mix. The bass is now becoming more of a out front sort of an instrument. And he's like composing for that instrument. Listen, everything that I'm saying right now is just my thoughts. I'm not saying that I'm right about anything, right? Anything that I do on TED Talks Bass is not the way, it's a way. And sometimes I go on these tangents and I'm like, oh shit, I got this idea and I'm thinking about this thing and I'm just sharing with you right now my thoughts, right? Melodic, Tiny, yes. More melodic. There are more lines. Marcus Miller is the same way, but I think Marcus straddles the line between thumping and slapping, right? What my mind is starting to think now is that slapping the bass, and I could be full of caca, but I'm starting to think that slapping, quote unquote, is more of a, the bass is more out front. It's entering into a more melodic range, more of a out front, solo instrument. Whereas thumping and plucking is more supportive. I'm gonna park that right there for just a hot second. That's what I think that differentiation is. I'm curious to know what you think, either in the live chat here now, or I'm going to leave this up because I think it's I was going to make a video and then like release it, but I have videos already in the can that would come out before this, and I don't want to change the order anyway. Let's look at Stanley. If we're just talking about the physical motion, of what Stanley is doing, it's more akin to a slap than a thump, right? Okay, let's see. We got the thumb out. So he's switching between, fingers and finger style and thumb. This may not be the greatest example. Oh, this is one of my favorite Victor Wooten joints right here. This is also what I would call slapping as opposed to thumping. Why would I say that? Me personally, I would say that this video that we're about to watch is more, I've seen it before. I would call it more akin to slapping because it's more out front. It's not supportive, right? And I'm not favoring either one. I'm just saying that's what I'm observing. This man don't make no goddamn sense. That don't make no sense. That don't make no good doggone sense. Gosh darn it. Anyway, so what do you think, Tiny? I appreciate you sticking in there with me. I'm thinking when cats like Marcus and Victor come on the scene and Stanley come on the scene, I'm not at all saying that Larry Graham didn't compose specifically for the bass. I'm not saying that. But these guys are obviously like way more melodic, a lot more syncopation. They're, obviously, Stanley comes with the flamenco, with the flamenco thing, which would be more akin to a slap than a thump. Even, Brandon, what's up, baby? Yeah, I think he does straddle the line like Marcus, because even in the beginning of this clip, not this part, but that could easily be a supportive part in a song. Let me see what Big Al Frazier, what's up, baby? At one time, I believe that the bass was more of a supportive instrument. Yes, I agree. In the last few years, the bass has been made more up front. I think slap bass is used as an accent or a spice. I would agree with that. I would say it's a little bit more than an accent or a spice. I would say it's a little bit more. I think slap bass has brought the bass like way, way more out front. Now I'm listen, Linda. I don't want nobody coming for me in the comments right now. Don't come for me. But I'm going, on one hand, I want to say that what Flea does is more akin to slapping. But if we think about the fact that he doesn't have a ton of syncopation, he's not doing all the pyrotechnics like Stanley and Victor. So is what he does more akin to thumping and plucking? Huh? And I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think we're talking semantics, right? So this guy right here, Charlie Bertude, this guy slaps the bass. He slaps quite fucking well. What do we notice right off the bat? It's a very bright, trebly tone. It's very bright. It's very out front. The bass by itself.
My fellow bassist, I watched and using this tech, that gives you the option to play.
Okay, maybe this is a bad example of him. How do you spell this brother's last name? I mean, this boy is kind of like otherworldly, as so many of these cats are, right? Like on one hand, we can, us quote unquote old heads could talk a lot of trash about these young guys, but man, some of these cats are making entire careers out of this social media thing, and they don't need a band. They don't need. This is the first time I've said this. Some of us older cats kind of get on these soapboxes and talk about these young cats. Oh, you can't play that on a gig. They don't have to. I said what I said. They don't have to. Because they're making their own thing. They could hire whoever they want to back them up and do their thing. Mono Neon don't need a band. He don't need to go play a wedding. Okay, so he's doing... Okay, there's the thumb. And see, when I look at him use his thumb, I just look at it as this is the technique that is needed to play this particular passage. It's a tool. It's a tool that he has in his box, right? It's not about, you know, sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I think you know what I'm saying. I think I said that the way I wanted to say it, but Christ almighty. So him switching between the thumb style and finger style, I mean, I do that on gigs all the time, and I think most of you probably do as well, where you're just like, oh, there's my thumb. But my question is there a difference? And I'm going to go to this Facebook in a second to look at some of the responses. This guy is like crazy. I skipped over Flea. I skipped over Flea. I wanted to. So let's see how incredible this bass solo is. And I ain't got not one thing against Flea. And I think the man should be respected for his place in music and what he's done in popular, not just in popular music, but, you know, in his role in kind of pushing forward the electric bass guitar. That cannot be understated. But that video I made about was Flea better than Prince, and I think that's absolute bullshit. Just put that out there. But then I'm a Prince fan. So, you know, not many people are better than Prince on anything. To me, it's very subjective. His style is very aggressive, fitting with the genre. I was hoping to see him everybody goes to higher ground, I guess, for Flea. See, you see that downward thing? I couldn't do that to save my life. Like, gun to head, I could not do that. I mean, Brandon, would you say that right there is straddling the line? Nah, I'm gonna say definitely Flea is a slapper, not a thumper. Rich Jones. Let me come back to that, Rich Jones. I wanna check that out. What you're saying? Hold on a second. So Brandon Dellum says, so would you say most of the 70s disco and funk style was more along the lines of plucking and slapping, since the bass played more of a? I would probably call. Man, I'm really, again, I'm just brainstorming and throwing spaghetti on the wall for myself and I'm sharing it with y'all. So I'm not saying that I'm right about anything. But what I am saying is that I would call when bass is more of a supportive thing, to your question, Brandon, I am leaning to believe that when bass is in more of a supportive role, I'm leaning to that being thumping and plucking, right? Because it's playing more of a percussive role. And I'm leaning to thinking that when the bass is more out front, it's slapping and popping. At the end of the day, do either one of them cure AIDS, cancer, or COVID? No. So we're just thinking out loud. I'm not taking any of this shit too seriously. Rich Jones up in the building. Let's see. Aeroplane. Flea. Bass. How low can you go? I want to see Flea playing it. Let's see it. Excellent. I don't think they're both the same, bro. I don't think they're both the same. I think there's a subtle difference. Even his hand position. So for those of you who are just getting here, we looked at Milt Hinton slap bass. We looked at a history of upright bass players, and this hand position even is more akin to a slap than a thump, right? When I think about a thump, I think about a sound that you can feel. When I think about a slap, ooh, this is good. Ooh, this is good. Let me break my arm. Patting myself on the back because I think I just came up with something. When I think of a thump, I think of a sound that you can feel. When I think of a slap, I think of a sound that you can hear. Maybe that's a little bit too clever for even me. Or thinking that I'm smart. But I think there's a difference. I think there's a excellent. We gonna fight, bruh. We gonna fight later. Did you use my comment on your question? Okay, bro. It's just a different level. Flea hand position always was wild. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that downward thing, but it looks more like what the cats were doing on the upright basses, which I would call a slap, as opposed to a thump. That's a slap. That's a slap. Right? Let's go to Facebook. I want to, not my personal Facebook. There's a lot of good responses here in this. There's a lot of good responses in this thing, in this thread. What I love and also, forums are a trip because invariably there's always somebody who's just like gonna be Thunder Thump's definitely a thumper. Invariably there's always gonna be somebody who like takes what has been said like the wrong way and get like really weird. But this had some good I gotta show you this brother's response. I really dug this. I don't like the sarcasm. I don't like the sarcasm here. So my question was, as I'm saying, in your opinion, is there a difference between thump and pluck and slap and pop? And he says yes, 1,000%. the people who say no are limited skill wise. I think that part of the response is unnecessarily snarky. But I watched on my way home, I watched a little bit of his response. And so I want to see what he says and get your take on it as well.
I am flabbergasted that so many people said there's not a difference.
Uh-oh. 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 Boop, 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 boop. Shots fired. Boop, 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 boop. Wayne, hey, I'm about to give dude your address, boy.
Okay, I am.
I'm kidding, of course. I'm coming to your house. I'm coming to get you.
Flabbergasted that so many people said there's not a difference. There is 1,000% a big difference.
There ain't no big difference, and it ain't no 1,000%. But I believe there's a difference. It ain't no big difference, and it ain't no 1,000%. But there's a difference.
Not only the origin and the culture of the two, but...
Uh-oh. This gonna get deep. My man said culture. Oh, shucky ducky. Quack, quack.
There's clearly a difference. Now, like everyone said, Larry Graham's one who came up with it, and he called it thumping and plucking, and then people started calling it slapping and popping. But they are two very, very, very different things.
All right, show us how.
Les Claypool, Flea, they slap and pop. Larry Graham, Victor Wooten, they thump and pluck. Now, it is not a race thing. It is not a style thing. They are two different techniques. I'm going to show you.
All right, school us.
Slapping and popping is... See how my thumb's facing me? And some people do like this too. Now, I'm a thump and plucker, which is different because thumping is when you do the first half of double thumping. If you watch old videos of Larry Graham, he does that.
So far I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm not disagreeing with him there. I'm not disagreeing with him as far as the downward stroke, because when I thump, you see what I did there. When I do it, that's typically what I'm doing is I'm going. Man, I love this modern vintage bass. Boy, stupid. Still a thump. I said what I said. Shouldn't you, excellent Wayne, should you not be teaching a class right now, bro? I'm surprised at you, man. You got students that are counting on you, bro. You around here fucking around with me. That's my boy. Okay. Like I said, I like where my man is going with this. Maybe a little bit spicy, but you know, I don't disagree with what he's saying.
That's thumping. This is slapping. Slap, thump. Slap, thump. Slapping, you bounce off. Thumping, you go through.
Now, let me know in the comments, does my man have a good point or is he full of shit? Does my man have a good point or is he full of shit? I think Fleece, come get your boy. I think he's got some good points. You know, at the end of the day, what the audience feels is what matters. if I'm on a gig, or if I'm, like the drummer, like nobody gives a shit at the end of the day. If we're to be honest. But I think it's an interesting topic. Let's continue to go on here. Let's move forward with the comments. I did like his response. I really did. I really did. JD Collins, I've never heard the term thump and pluck, to be honest. Well, here we are. Learn something new every day. Me, a pick, gives a course to my sound, my fingers, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that was really a response to the question, but I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest. We are talking. We're talking semantics, at the end of the day, and the average listener, the average audience member is going to assume that you are quote unquote slapping the bass. And 9 out of 10 times you asked an average person, I mean, do it today. Ask somebody an example of slap bass, and they're probably going to say, slap the bass, man. Or they're going to say, Seinfeld, which wasn't even a bass. But you feel me? I'll be honest with you. Speaking of Seinfeld, do you know that I have intentionally never, ever learned that? Never. Because I just don't want to be in... I don't want to play that game. I don't want to play that game. I had an old guy. So Don Burton says, I had an old guy give me shit for playing bass once, but he had a strange term for it. It called it chime. He said he hated it. He was a hillbilly and pronounced it cham. Cham. My country ass knows exactly what he's talking about. He said, I can't stand hearing someone cham the bass. Cham the bass. Okay. That's funny. I get that. Okay, what? Haha. So my man Jackie Clark, man, I love me some Jackie Clark. Jackie Clark is the cat. Let's see what Jackie says. Y'all need to look up Jackie Clark. Jackie Clark has played with some of everybody. And is like a big bro mentor to Mono Neon as well. Huge influence on Mono Neon. So Jackie Clark is a name to know. If you ever see this guy's name, he's very unassuming, but trust me, he's a cat that done bent some corners. There's a subtle difference in the technique if you're splitting hairs. There's the key word, right? The key phrase right there. If you're splitting hairs. If you are splitting hairs. Let's continue. The originator, Larry Graham, called it thumping and plucking because of the use of his thumb and how he pulled the strings. Right. So Larry will pinch. Why he didn't call it thumping and pinching, I don't know. To me, slapping is what Milt Hinton did on Upright with an open-handed slap. Yeah. I know why why Jackie edited this to say he didn't pay attention to who wrote this. Because if I post something, then he'll be like, was that, we have our sideline conversations or whatever. So that's why I'm laughing. I don't know what Anthony, research. It is a research question. Fleece, here you go. I just call it funk. All right. Okay, now see my boy Joshua Saylor. I had to get on Josh. Because Joshua Saylor, this young brother right here, is a goddamn scholar of the bass. Joshua Saylor is a scholar of the bass. Let me say it one more time because it felt so good. Joshua Saylor is a scholar of the bass. This motherfucker can tell you who played bass on everything. He could tell you what kind of amp they used, what they were wearing that day, what kind of drawers they had on, what kind of strings they was playing. He could tell you all that shit. He's also a fellow New Orleanian. But he's left-handed, so Okay, I'm left-handed too, but I play right-handed. I just, if he watches this, I have to give him shit about that. He says, man, no, old school thumpers just hate the word slap. It's all the same. Larry and Lewis called it thumping and plucking, so I'm going to call it thumping and plucking. It's like his mama called him Clay, I'm going to call him Clay. Well, God damn. Joshua, I'm going to need you to do better than that. I'm going to need you. Don't it sound like excellent? I'm going to need you to come with more. I challenge Joshua Saylor, and y'all go blow his page up and say, hey, man, we need you to come with more. It's more about local vernacular and how you refer to the technique. I'm with that. I like that. I got to respond to him again and say, see, God damn it, I can't. See, I was thinking one way and okay, at the end of the day, I don't think it matters. I mean, that's the honest truth. At the end of the day, I don't think it matters. John Villea, I'm going to say Villea. I think it's Villea. John Villea. Slapping is more percussive and has more options. Thumping is one-dimensional. Lord have mercy. Did I say one-dimensional? One-dimensional, but cool in its own way. I don't think slapping is one. I don't think thumping is one-dimensional. No, I don't think there's different. Thumping, plucking, fucking, slapping, popping, they are all just different ways to get through the gig. I ain't mad at that. Dynamics and tone settings on the bass. Flats help. The thumb pluck. Bay Area, yay area! Regulators, mount up. I'm going to tell anybody, man, I grew up in New Orleans, but I became a man in the Bay. Miss living in the Bay, boy. Some of the best memories of my life in the Bay Area. Just style variations, all about your tone, your sound, and what you like to play. Pick and pop and bang, art rock style. I don't know what the fuck that means. This is almost like the R musicians DJs topic. How do you remember such things, bro? How do you remember this kind of stuff? I don't know. Now, somebody else commented in another. Let's see. I posted this in another group. No, this is the same thing. This is the same group. Oh, my man, Roy Vogt. Now, Roy is another cat. Nashville cat. You know, when you see names like Jackie Clark and Roy Vogt and Ed Friedland, if you haven't been around the block like 30 fucking times, just shut up and listen. Like for real. Cause these cats have done some shit. They done played on some things, written some things, blah, 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 blah. And I just say, it's like Yannick Guizdala had a video about traveling with your bass. And he said, if Tim LaFave says something about traveling with a bass, just be quiet and listen. And we have to do that. I got to do that sometimes too. Damn, where's Roy's comment? Roy had a dope comment, and I really want to. Did he delete the comment? Gosh darn it. I can't remember what it was, but Roy said something that was really cool. Shucky ducky. Let me see. I want a new friend request. I can't let y'all see all my Facebook. I get a little stupid.